See this sign? This is becoming a problem for me. Maybe for you too. Is the National Forest kicking nomads out?
Get on the bus!
I had a really crazy experience just recently right here in Flagstaff, here in the Coconino forest. If you've been watching, you know that I had a camp host job from April to October at a National Forest campground. When that campground closed, we looked for some place to boondock. And I had been driving Lake Mary Road for months, going to and from Flagstaff. And you can see this cool area on the other side of the lake. The lake being a relative term because it's dry. Yeah, there's no water in the lake. But anyway, I had seen people camped over on this side, on the shore, so to speak, all summer. So we decided to give that a try. The cool thing about this spot is that it's super accessible to town. You're in this really pretty foresty place, as you can see, but it's right outside Flagstaff. So showering, laundry, Walmart, all that stuff is right there. And croissants. Melanie is really into croissants. It's a popular area because of that. But it was starting to get cold and we all had different places we needed to go. So we were getting ready to take off. I went into town to do some errands. As I was driving back from town, I passed two sheriff cars and a Forest Service law enforcement car pulled over, and I waved to them when I passed. I didn't think a lot about it. When I got back to camp, I started joking with Sarah. She was packing up her tent at that point, and I started joking, oh, the cops are coming for you. Pretty soon, though, that wasn't going to be a joke. Sarah finished packing up, and she started driving out, and about a minute later, she sends me a text that says, cops are headed your way. 2 minutes later, here comes the Forest Leo car, followed by the sheriff's car, and they turn right in to the driveway to our site. I'm thinking, maybe there's a wanted fugitive or something, and they're just coming around to warn everybody. The ranger guy gets out of his car, and this isn't a regular ranger. This is law enforcement. So he's got a gun, he's got handcuffs, he's got the whole 9 yards. And he says, hi, I'm Officer Young, but you can call me Joshua. And he's got that typical law enforcement stance, hand near the gun, not quite on it, but near. And then he goes on, I'm just out here today to have an honest conversation with everybody out here, and I hope you will be honest with me, okay? Can you do that? And then he pauses, waiting for us to answer, like it's not a rhetorical question. We have to say, yes, we will be honest. Then he continues, I know there hasn't been any enforcement out here, but I just talked to the guy next to you, and he was totally honest with me. He told me that he had been out here for months. I just want to have the same honest conversation with you, because I already know, because I've already gotten complaints that you've been out here for months. And I was like, no, we haven't been out here for months. We've been here for about 5 days. But he says, okay, I believe you. But, he says it in a way that makes it clear that he doesn't believe me. He's kind of like, well, I'm going to have to believe you. I make eye contact with the deputy sheriff, meanwhile, who's been hanging back by the road. And he kind of smiles sheepishly, looks embarrassed and kind of shrugs. I'm pretty sure no one has complained to this guy. He's just doing this routine. And then he says, okay, now, again, be honest. Do you live in that thing? And he points to the thing, my bus. Okay, now, if you know me, you know that I am a proud bus resident. I don't lie about it. I don't try to pull off stealth, even when I'm in the city where stealth kind of matters. But lately, I have heard some things. So I'm kind of weighing how I'm going to answer for a second or two. And my impulse, honestly, is that the truth is not going to help this situation, despite what this guy keeps saying about wanting me to be honest. But Melanie, of course, knows nothing about this stuff. So she says, of course she lives in it. Can't you tell? And so then Joshua launches into the residential camping thing. See, the Forest Service has declared that the forest is open to recreational camping, but not residential camping. And I think we all know why. We've probably all seen people sprawled out, tons of stuff around them, occupying a spot pretty much all season. And that's what they're trying to prevent. But there's already a law that prevents that kind of stuff, and it's the one that says you can only stay in one spot for 14 days. So why not just enforce that? What difference does it make where I live? If I'm not here more than 14 days, isn't that enough to say I'm not violating the rules? And if I am here more than 14 days, okay then. Kick me out, trespass me, give me a citation, whatever comes with overstaying the 14-day limit. But Joshua tells me, if I live in a bus, anytime I'm in the forest, I am residential camping. Because if you don't have a home base other than your vehicle, then you are automatically violating the no residential camping law because you are clearly residing in the forest since you reside in that vehicle. And I said, I'm familiar with that rule. I know these rules. Joshua's tone completely shifts. And he says, look, if you're going to call me a liar, and I said, I'm not calling you a liar. And he's like, you're saying that I don't know the law. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that I also know the law. And who is calling who a liar? At this point, my eyes go to the gun and the handcuffs and all that stuff. And I just decided it's better for me to walk away because I'm getting pissed. I might say something that gets those handcuffs put on me if I stand here for too much longer. Melanie keeps chatting with them. And I hear her say something about 14 days, but Joshua says, oh no, we're past that now though, because you're residential. Are you saying that because I live in my vehicle, I'm not allowed to recreate? We were hiking, we were having campfires, we were doing all the stuff that recreational campers do. Why do people even live in vehicles anyway? Sometimes it's because it's the best economic choice for them, or even the only one. But also, people live in their vehicles because they want to. And why do they want to? They want to enjoy the recreational opportunities this country offers. They want to be in forests, they want to be next to lakes, they want to be in pretty wild spaces. We're not behaving any differently than vacationers, ATVers, the hunters that are around us are, except that honestly, we're probably doing a better job of leaving our spots clean. And that's not to say that nomads are all responsible. There are definitely bad apples. But it's not always full-timers who make a mess. You can make just as big a mess if you're a weekend camper. I have the right to choose what my housing is, and I'm choosing this bus. Why does that make me somehow not a citizen? I mean, my taxes pay for this land, for this forest. And before you say, you know, you don't pay taxes because you don't have a house, well, there's a lot of ways to pay taxes besides living in a house. I shouldn't have to justify this. This is my land. I should definitely mention that this is not really a new thing. As long as I can remember, there's been that contrast between residential camping and recreational camping in the rules of the National Forest. But it's really just how you interpret that, right? And also how you enforce it. What I always assumed it meant was, you know, you can't erect a permanent structure, you can't plant a lawn, you can't use the physical address of the forest for your mail, registering your car, voting. You can't put up a no trespassing sign. But that is all very, very different from saying that just because I don't have a fixed address that I am never considered to be a recreational camper. Honestly, I don't see anything in those rules, I really don't, that says you are automatically residential. I did find something on one national forest site that specifically says that you can't park in the forest while you're looking for a job and you can't commute to a job. And the ironic thing is that I just finished working for the National Forest. I mean, for a company that's hired by the National Forest to run its campgrounds. I have to live in my vehicle to do that job. The camp host is expected to live on the premises and there's no shelter for us to live in. So we have to be contained in our own vehicles. But then 3 days after the job's over, right up the road, I'm illegal. This situation is not going to get any less complicated as more and more people turn to vehicles for shelter. And more people are. Let's not be naive about it. They are. And that's because the cost to rent an apartment or to own a house has become astronomical. As more and more people live this way, this is going to get increasingly problematic. I mean, and I'm not saying it's an easy answer, because thousands more people in the forest is definitely going to have an impact on the environment. It will, I get it. There's a need to protect the forest, but everybody needs somewhere to be, and everybody has the right to choose how they live, even if it's in this thing, my bus. Ryder and I are getting ready to leave this campsite that we've been in for, I think three days maybe, up here in Williams. And now we're headed back down to Flagstaff. It's just easier to do laundry, shower, all that stuff there, because Williams is beautiful, but it's a pretty small town. But if you look at this campsite that we've been in, I think you will see that it's clean. It's very clean. Not only did we not leave any trash, we picked up all the trash that the people before us left. Well, not all. We picked up most of the trash here, but somebody actually took it looks like a RV air conditioner or something that they uninstalled and left here behind a log. And I don't have the means to really cart that out. I have nowhere to put it, whatever. So unfortunately, I have to leave that here. And unfortunately, that is going to reflect poorly on us residential campers, even though there's no way to know if that was left by somebody just, you know, out for the weekend or whatever. Don't do stuff like that. There's no way to know, but we will get the blame for it, I'm sure. But in terms of the smaller trash, you know, which there was plenty of, we've picked it all up, which is what's so frustrating about getting told that we're, you know, not fit to recreate in our nation's national forests. Melanie's already gone to Flagstaff, and she just messaged me that she's in the same spot where we got banned for being residential campers. Hopefully nothing will happen this time. I'm going to sign off. We'll see you next time. But what do you think about this residential camping thing? I have my opinion. It's very clear, but you know, obviously I'm biased. So if you have a different opinion, please let me know. If you have the same opinion, please let me know. Just let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Here's another video where I'm getting accused of something.
Maximalist
Check it out.
With Mary and Ryder and you. Get on the bus.